remove a certain person, then I wouldn't exist? Like, how
I agree. Stephen, that's not even debatable, right? If I removed you at 1 week in the womb, you would not be here. So I'm arguing not only for the life of the other people, I'm arguing for your life and mine, the right to exist.
Okay.
We came from that fetus, and so do other people. It's not magic. You know what I mean? If California condor is an endangered species, if I went and took some of their eggs and made a scrambled egg omelet, a 1 week old warm condor egg, the state would fine me for killing condors. And I'm only saying.
Okay, hold on. This is a protected species. This is a totally separate type of argument.
No, we have far more value than any condor does. My point is.
Don't think endangered species.
Stephen, my point is, when you kill the egg, you kill a condor, and when we kill that thing in the womb, we kill you. Is my point. And you can't find the connection there.
Also in the United States, if you kill a mother who is pregnant, or I'm sorry, not if you kill a mother who's pregnant, but if you damage a mother who is pregnant and her fetus dies, I'm pretty sure you can bring charges against the person for murder as well. I think that's been done.
In some states you can, because in some states the mother has to want you before you get your constitutional rights. It's totally arbitrary. So, now your rights come from someone wanting you.
Sure. So let's say that I do grant you that a bundle of cells that has no consciousness, no developed brain, doesn't resemble a human in any size, shape, or form, in any way.
No, son. It is. I'm sorry for calling you son.
Sure.
It absolutely is a human. It's not a tree. It's not a pineapple. It doesn't look like us, but it by definition is a human, and that every human passes through that. That is part of our development.
Part of our development, sure, but it doesn't resemble any form of a human. If I were to hold out,
it doesn't look like us.
Yeah, if I were to hold out a hand and show you a fetus, whatever in your head you idealize as a form of a human, this fetus would not pass any metric whatsoever that you ever.
But it is literally every single human being went through that, so it is by definition a human. I mean, you can't get around that.
I mean, every human at one point was a disjointed egg and sperm as well. I don't know. Let's say that I grant you that, which I'm not comfortable doing, but let's say that I even grant you that, and I say that as
science. If science says that life begins at conception, Science says human life begins at conception.
No, science doesn't make that claim. That's a philosophical
claim. An overwhelming number of scientists, the majority of them, all the experts say, that it begins at conception.
No. Science can't even tell us what life is. That's not what science does. That's a philosophical
claim.
Science
says human life begins at conception.
No, it doesn't. Science can't make that claim. It's not a claim.
I can't show you the quotes right now. I'll have to look it up. But
you'll never be able to show me the quotes because science can't make that claim. Science could make claims about like our DNA might exist at the moment of conception.
No, because science knows where human beings come from. So do you. I can't even believe I'm debating this with you.
Well, what do you mean science knows where human beings come from?
Of course, if I destroy you in the womb, I destroy your entire life. Of course.
Sure, but the argument would be whether or not the argument is whether or not that life or whatever, the hypothetical life, should even be considered at that point in its development. Before it's ever even had consciousness, should we ever consider that thing as being a human life? And the way that we behave a lot of the times points to the idea that we don't. For instance, like a lot of women have miscarries that they don't even know of, right? That a lot of lives are destroyed. 2 weeks into a pregnancy, a woman might have a slightly heavier period and not even know that she's murdered her child or that her child has been aborted by her body. Right. So I mean, but let's say we move past that and I grant you that. What gives that right? What gives the right of that fetus that we'll say has some endowments of human life or might become a human at some point in time?
It is 100% as human as it needs to be at every stage of development.
But it can't exist 100%. But it can't exist on its own. It needs to be a parasite in the body of another human being, right? Who's to say
neither can someone in a coma. They're entirely dependent on someone else. We don't remove the human rights and start harvesting their organs.
Sure, but generally a person in a coma has already entered into some form of social contract with a government that it exists with, that it pays taxes to.
Someone with Alzheimer's.
Sure, is generally taken care of by a state that they pay taxes into their whole life.
A one-day-old baby can't take care of itself.
No, but it can exist in a separate physical form than a mother can. The mother
His brain isn't fully developed.
Well, I mean, your brain's fully developed through 25. But a baby that exists...
You don't look like a baby either. You don't look anything like a baby either.
No, you look like a baby looks a lot closer to a human than a fetus does. Absolutely.
That's subjective.
It is not. As somebody that has seen lots of babies, I promise you, a baby looks very similar to a human being as opposed to a fetus.
Yeah, it also looks very similar to a baby inside the womb.
Maybe at like 30 weeks or whatever, sure, or whatever.
So you'd be against it? Well, you already said that you're against abortion, so I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Let's say that we grant. Okay, so I'm even willing to grant all this. We'll grant that the fetus is worthy of life, the human, blah blah blah. What gives that fetus the right to exist and as a parasite and leech resources off of a mother that no longer consents to it being there? Why does that fetus's rights to existence trump the mother's autonomy or right to her own body there?
Do you really believe this? That it leaches off the mother?
I mean, it does by definition. It exists as a parasite in the body until it grows to a certain stage where it's ejected from the body, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, homeless people leech off society too.
But they're not physically dependent on one other person. We elect to take care of homeless people through social policy.
Everyone is physically dependent on other people. You are, for your electricity and your food.
So
and if the
right
whole world
now,
shut down and you sat here alone,
I'm not going to subject you
insulin, or you
sure.
couldn't
So
get.
I'm not going to subject you to this horror, okay? But if I were to show you my belly, okay, I have a big old belly button in the middle where I no longer have an umbilical cord attached to me because I do not take nutrients from another person's body. So okay, this guy's got it. Look at that belly button, okay?
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So he no longer is physically attached to another entity, leeching resources from that person. So
you say leeching. It's not leeching. It's every person goes through that.
Yeah, every person is a leech in the early stage of their development. It's a parasite. Yeah.
Well, then so are you. But so are you and I. Off this. I mean, we leech off each other.
Okay, so let's say that I were to wake up one day and you and I were attached at the kidney because my kidney stopped working. So I'm running dialysis through your body. Are we now attached in the same way that you're attached to a homeless person you pay taxes to? We both know these two things are entirely dissimilar.
It's not identical, but that's reductio absurdum. I think you can push any parallels, as long as you want till you can break it.
No, I think I can make a very clear definition that doesn't slippery slope into anything else. If you are physically attached to another person's body and you are taking resources from that other person in a physical, not a social, not a tax policy, not a payment, not a hand me out or whatever, not a reward or a gift or whatever, that physical attachment is a violation of that person's autonomy.
That is not true. That is not true. In fact, if anything, it's a moral obligation because that person made them.
What if they didn't make them willingly?
It's not. I mean, it's still not leeching.
How is it
not
leeching
resources?
Okay, so let's say I take a mother who is 1 month pregnant and she says, you know what, I don't want this thing in my body anymore. How is it not unwillingly leeching resources from that woman's body?
I mean, leech is are you using that morally? Like a
No, I'm just
leech,
descriptively. It's a leech. It's something that sits there. It gives you nothing.
Why not just call it dependent? I mean, it's
okay, sure. We can say a dependent parasite. Yeah. Oh, you don't like the word parasite because it. Okay, we can say it is a dependent physical being. Whatever euphemism you want to use to redefine it to make it feel better. It's a dependent physical being.
It's not. That's disingenuous. It's not to make me feel better. It is a fact. Women who have children live longer than women who don't. So maybe in one way it's what you call dependent, and on another way it's extending the person's life.
Yeah, but we in a liberal society, in a classic liberalism, not like liberal conservative, but like in a society where we allow people to make free choices, you would compel somebody to go through an act that they don't consent to because it might extend their life. I don't even know if that's true, by the way.
No, I'm using the argument to counter that it is merely a leeching or a draining of resources because of its dependence. I'm saying...
Well, but it is draining resources. What do you mean?
It is using up physical nutrients, and the mother's eating them and passing them on to the kid.
Yeah.
And then the kid, later in being born, I assume, the mother... the mother is fine after the birth. The mother walks around. She puts the kid up for adoption, or the baby dies, or whatever it does. It's dependence, but it doesn't make it immoral.
Okay. Let's say that you were to wake up in a hospital and I was connected to your body and I was using your kidneys to clean my blood, and we had to walk around and be together for the next 9 months. Would it be immoral for me, without your consent, to take over parts of your body like that? Or do you think that would be moral? It would be okay for me to do it?
It would be immoral.
So how is a fetus or a small human dependent thing different in this case?
The fetus, first of all, is innocent. And the two people...
What does that have to do with anything?
It has a right, in and of itself, according at least to our Constitution, it has a right to life. And I would say according to moral law
according to our Constitution right now, it doesn't, right? right? Because Roe v. Wade decided that we can have abortions. So.
Yeah. It also once said blacks can't vote, but I don't. So I don't. I'm saying that.
Well, if you don't care about it, then don't cite the Constitution for that.
I cite the Constitution because I believe the Constitution, using its words, are pointing to immaterial truths, which is that every person is self-evident. They said that we have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Sure. So what I'm asking for is...
If you're saying that we don't, that Constitution is not arguably pointing to a truth that we have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, then I would say, at least from a legal standpoint, I could not say that you coming in and using my kidneys without my permission was immoral, if that's where.
And a pregnant woman would say the same thing about a fetus using her body's resources against her consent.
Yeah, she's wrong.
How?
She's wrong because it's immoral, because it stops people like you from existing. You're arguing against your own existence.
Just because something can stop somebody from existing doesn't necessarily make it wrong. You have to go farther from that.
Oh, really? So calling someone the N-word is the horror of horrors, and stopping someone from existing is, some people don't exist, some people do.
Let's say that the state had a program that made it so that 10 people every year have a child with one another. And then after 20 years, somebody came up. Let's say after 20 years, somebody came up like, well, hold on, we should stop this program. And then somebody's like, well, hold on, you were born after this program. You're arguing against your own existence. That's not a counter to anything. It's like a total non sequitur, non-related. That's a totally non. Whether or not I'm arguing for or against something that might hypothetically impact my existence has no bearing on the argument that I'm making. And the original argument I'm making, to refocus and repeat it again, is why is it that a person that steals your resources once they're out of the womb, like if I attach my body to yours and ask to live with you for 9 months, how is that different from a fetus doing it?
Stealing implies morality, so you can't. That's a circular argument. You can't make that in the argument. You have to use another word that's not morally charged.
I'll imply stealing here, because stealing generally means taking something without the consent of another person, which is what a fetus does.
That doesn't belong to you. No, but the mom also, it's not being stolen from the mom, because her body also is autonomous in what it gives to the kid. She's not sitting there thinking, I'm sending nutrients to the kid. I'm sending nutrients to the kid. Her body is no more a decider as the baby is.
No,
baby's
she
not
can
taking,
make that decision at any point in time. She can have an abortion.
Stephen, taking requires agency. The baby is not an agent that is consciously taking anything. You're arguing that it's nothing. It's a clump of cells. It's no different than any other bodily function just working.
Do I have a right to defend myself against somebody that tries to attack me or murder me? If it's like very clear that's what's gonna happen. Somebody walks into my house, they have a knife, and I have a gun.
Yes.
Okay, let's say that person is engaging in some sort of extreme like sleepwalking. So that person is sleepwalking into my house. They have a knife and they're about to kill me. Do I have a right to kill them to defend myself?
Yes.
So this is a person acting with no agency.
I don't know about kill them, but defend yourself.
Sure, we'll say I can only do it via killing them. This is a person that is acting on me with a violent action, with no intention, but they're acting on me in a violent way, and I'm defending myself and my autonomy using any means necessary. Why is a woman not given the same permission that I would be to defend myself in this circumstance?
Using that hypothetical, I have a hard time seeing an instance where you would absolutely have to kill a sleepwalker. I would say you could hobble him. In the same way, the reason why it's okay to hobble him is because his life has value.
Okay, well,
let's say you could remove the baby and put it in another, and have it be born alive, then you could do that. You could remove it.
Where does the obligation come from
to
take care of?
You don't have to always go straight to kill, Stephen. I know our nature wants us to go there, but I'm just saying.
Well, we don't have to kill. We don't have to kill them. Then we can just.
Let's hold off on the kill.
Sure. So we don't have to kill the fetus. We can just remove it from the body. And we can set it in a basket. And we can let it grow as it would. And if it dies, then it dies, and we discard it.
No, you have a moral obligation to take care of that thing.
Why do you have a moral obligation to?
Because a baby is helpless. Why do you act like you don't know what a baby is?
But if the mother didn't consent for that baby to exist,
sure.
Then why does she have a moral obligation to take care of it? Where does that moral obligation come from?
She doesn't have to take care of it for life. She has to birth it. And
why does she have to birth it? You just say that. I'm not trying to call you a man in a negative sense, but when you just say like, well, you just got to birth it. That's a very big process. It's not just like you go and take a really big shit. That's like 9 months of like permanently body changing stuff. Like that's a big thing to do.
Yeah, so is killing a baby a big thing to do.
An abortion is generally easier than going through a full-term delivery pregnancy.
I didn't say easier, I said a bigger thing as far as life being ended thing.
Okay, but that still doesn't address the point of I'm asking.
That's what the argument is about. Is a life being taken or not? So it's not the same thing. You know, a birth offers you a living baby, and an abortion kills a baby.
Yeah, but the baby that is growing in your body is without your consent stealing resources from your body or taking. I'm sorry, that's Well, I think we probably exhausted this topic. We're running around in circles.
I don't get where you're going. I'm not going to bite on the whole dependency thing. I think it's a lame argument, but
I mean, by definition, is dependent on the mother's body for food.
Yeah, you're not getting a ground with me on that. I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Okay.
I'm on another planet. If that's where you're going, I can't even go with the premise.
Okay.
How's everyone doing for time? We can go longer, or I don't know how much time everyone has available in their schedule right now.
I was supposed to write a script today, so I've already screwed the pooch on my schedule. So I don't care. I don't care.
All right.
I'm more about, is the audience entertaining to you guys? Are we clicking along good enough? Are we?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The audience has all been saying that Doug wins.
Oh, by the way, we do have a poll.
That's not fair.
We have a Twitter poll. There's a link down in the description if anyone wants to vote in that. Check that out.
If it helps at all, Steven, I don't care if the audience says I win or not. I just want to. I hope.
I've been in so many hostile communities. Don't worry, it's all good.
Dude, I'm
an
evangelical Christian. Come on, it's
all good.
I like how it's a meme among Steven's fans to say that he got destroyed in a debate.
Yeah. I'm only saying Steven must be formidable for it to be a big deal to say that he got destroyed. That's a compliment. It's a compliment for them to get off on you being destroyed. It's implied that you're hard to, and they're getting great joy of it. So I'm just saying. I on these debates, I don't want to just defend my ground for the hell of it, even if it's to defend my religion. I really do. If I'm wrong about something, I hope I figure it out someday. Even if it's about all these things I hold dear, I hope I figure it out someday. Go ahead.
So, Doug, where do you stand on like a more pragmatic approach to handling the issue of drug usage and addiction?
You've heard me rip on you for pot all the time.
Okay. So, do you think, continuing criminality and regardless of the drug itself, continuing criminality of a drug is better in the long run to stopping, the bad things that come with drug usage? Or do you think maybe, we should legalize the drugs that we think are safer, like how we already have alcohol and some places.
I love me some alcohol, and I could go for some whiskey right now. I might have to go take a break. But
wait. You're in favor of alcohol, but you're opposed to marijuana?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No. Hold on, Stephen. I get that it's totally incoherent, so I'm not sitting here saying I've got the logical struct on this.
So taking an approach where, we recognize as a society that certain drugs are less harmful.
Yeah.
Probably should be legalized. And then also, what about places like safe injection sites?
Oh, man, come on.
No? Okay.
You're going to keep pushing. You're going to keep pushing until you find a place where in general, like my big problem with drugs, and again,